Tight Shirt Terry Warfield's top 5 cameras of 2023. Let's go. What up, y'all? Tight Shirt Terry Warfield. I'm back for another video. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Remember to be thankful for your life today because you did not have to have that. Let's get on with the meat and potatoes. My favorite 5 cameras of 2023. Now, a few things I gotta say first. These are just my opinions, okay? I'm not saying that my opinion is law. Matter of fact, I want you to take a few seconds right now, put your top 3 cameras of 2023. I don't care about the camera brand, the type of camera, anything like that. Go ahead and put it down there while I'm talking. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I'm only talking about cameras that I've had the opportunity to personally test myself. There's so many cameras out there that unfortunately I just didn't get my hands on. Like I would have loved to test out the Nikon Z8. I would have loved to test out the Fujifilm X-H2S or whatever it's called. And there's a bunch of other cameras too. This year I only tested out cameras from Sony, from Insta360, from DJI, from Lumix, and Canon. So those are the only companies I've tested. So I'm gonna keep it within that when it comes to cameras I'm talking about. The third thing is I'm not basing this purely off of specs. I'm talking about what these cameras meant for the camera industry as a whole, what they meant for me, and that's what I'm basing it off of. So let's just go ahead and get on with it. And these are in no particular order, by the way. So my first camera on the list is the Sony Alpha 6700. Now, I don't have this camera anymore. I did test it extensively when it came out. And honestly, this is the camera I recommend when somebody comes up to me like, hey T, I want a camera that I can film myself with, take photos. You know, I want it to have good image quality, good stabilization, all that other good stuff. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of freaking money. Well, I usually recommend the Sony A6700 because honestly, to me, it represents the best value in mirrorless cameras, period. So it's a 26 megapixel APS-C camera. It's got the same sensor out the freaking Sony FX30. So that means for video, it can give you cinema quality video. It films in 10-bit up to 4K 120 frames per second and everything below it. It's got S-Log3 built into it. It's got some of the best autofocus you've ever seen in the camera. It's got Sony's new AI stuff built into it, so it does like human pose estimation and all that other good stuff when it comes to autofocus. And it's got the dynamic framing option to keep you centered in the frame no matter where you go. So you get all of this stuff. An amazing photography camera, an amazing video camera, although not perfect. And matter of fact, none of the cameras I'm going to talk about are perfect. We might as well just throw that out there, okay? But all in all, for people who want a hybrid camera that don't want to break the bank and are okay with APS-C, because there's nothing wrong with APS-C, I usually recommend the Sony A6700. Now, I wish I would have tested out the Fujifilm X-T5 because I know that it's the 6700's direct competitor and it beats it out in some things, but it is a little bit more expensive. So with that being said, number 1, Sony A6700. All right, the next camera I'm bringing to the table is the Insta360 Go3. Terry, where is the camera at? Oh, I forgot. Bam! It's right there. So as you see, it comes in 2 parts, the camera module itself and the pod. Now, the pod is responsible for charging up the camera module, and it gives you about 170 minutes. Yeah, you heard me, 170 minutes of battery life. Also, if you flip it around the back, there's a screen that you would use to turn it on and off. You will go through all the options, the menu settings, all that other good stuff. You set up the parameters for what you want this to do by using the screen on the back or the app. Obviously, you could use it to preview. You could flip up the screen and vlog yourself if you wanted to do that. But this camera can film up to 2.7K 30 frames a second. The stabilization is really, really good. And there's a free frame mode that would allow you after the fact to go through. You can change it from 9:16 to 16:9. You can stabilize it. You can lock the horizon on there. You can change the aspect ratio. You can do all of that stuff with the free frame mode. But that's only up to 1440p. All right, now if you're in a pinch and you don't know how to edit videos, there's an auto edit feature in the Insta360 app. If you press it in the upper right hand corner up here, it's going to have me select a few clips, so give me 1 second. Okay, so I got my 4 clips selected at the bottom. I'm going to press next. And the next thing the app will do is it's going to analyze my choices. It's going to ask me how long I want the video. So let's go ahead and go with 16 seconds. And then basically what it's going to do is edit everything together for me. Now, when I say edit, it's going to handle the transitions. It's going to handle the music. And at the bottom, you could go in here and change it. There's different templates. There's different music selections, different types of video templates. You could go in here and change all of this stuff. But if you're in a pinch, you don't have time to edit a video, the Insta360 app can edit everything for you using the auto edit feature. This little camera module by itself, though, know is waterproof and it's magnetic. So you can literally just walk around and stick this to stuff. And that's what makes this camera so fun, because it's so tiny and so small, you can fit it anywhere and it'll stick to anything with a magnet on it. Also, this comes with a bunch of accessories in the box. So for example, if you wanted to stick this to your shirt and do a POV style, there's a lanyard, right? This goes underneath your shirt, and then on top of your shirt, you just put the Go3, bam, and then the camera will sit right in the middle of your shirt. This is probably the funnest camera of the year because it's so small. You can stick it to anywhere. You can get some really, really creative shots with it. So I definitely recommend, if you're looking for an action camera that gives you way more fun and you get out of a traditional action camera, then right now you can save 5% off through December 28th on a Go3. And if you use my affiliate link, you get a free accessory with your order. So go ahead and pick you one up. You will not regret it. Now, I guarantee you, you have no clue what this next camera is, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that is the iPhone 15 Pro. It's not too often that a phone can come and shake up the camera space, right? But the iPhone 15 Pro, although very similar to the iPhone 14 Pro, really took it up a notch. And honestly, this has become one of the most powerful tools out there for filmmakers because it's something that is in just about everybody's pocket. Anybody can walk into their carrier store and pick up an iPhone 15 Pro, okay? So obviously you get the typical stuff that comes with iPhones, but this one does now have USB-C, so that is a very welcome change. I have a whole video about this, and obviously improved processor and all that other good stuff. Let's dive in on the cameras. This is the first iPhone that can record ProRes log internally. If you get the iPhone 15 Pro Max, that one can actually do ProRes internally up to 4K 60. If you didn't get the Pro Max, I mean, you can use the Blackmagic camera app. Have a whole video on that too, where it will allow you to do all the same things that the iPhone 15 Pro Max could do. But hear what I'm saying. A phone in your freaking pocket that can record in ProRes log to a SSD that's then powerful enough to turn around and edit that ProRes footage right on the phone and post it right from the phone. But on top of that, if you get the 15 Pro Max, you also get up to 5 times magnification. So it's like a portrait lens built into it, and that's really, really dope. If you didn't want to get the big one, at least you still have multiple focal lengths in one phone, and all of the cameras, honestly, they are really, really good. The stabilization, especially in active mode or action mode, whatever it's called with the iPhone 15 Pro, it's mind-boggling how good the stabilization is. I can't say enough good things about the iPhone 15 Pro. I know it wasn't received the best when it came out. People had problems with it. There were overheating problems and stuff like that, but it's really shaped up to be, you know, one of the best filmmaking tools out there. Plus it comes in titanium. How dope is that? Let me go ahead and put this back in the case because I don't want no scratches on here. This is a Spigen smoked case. I'll put the link in the description for this case if you're interested. Next on my list is the Lumix S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark II X, but that's not on the table because right now I'm filming with it. Honestly, for full frame cameras, this might be the best value out there, okay? This camera packed in so much, I shouldn't say packed in because this camera is way relevant. It packs in so much sauce for the price. You could get an S5 Mark II sub $2,000, and the S5 Mark II X is only $22.99, or no, $21.99 as a matter of fact. Listen, 24 megapixel full frame sensor, loads of dynamic range. This can shoot up to 6K 30 open gate. You got all of your resolutions, frame rates, aspect ratios, all of your, you know, built-in camera assist like Lumix always does with their cameras. So you got like built-in anamorphic, you got all of your shutter angle, you got your vector scopes, your waveforms and all that. It's got a built-in fan, it's got amazing stabilization, great battery life, a flippy screen, and the list goes on and on and on about the Lumix S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark II X. All in all, especially if you get the X version, which can record ProRes RAW and Blackmagic RAW and ProRes internally and all that other good stuff, it represents what every camera manufacturer should be doing with their cameras, not putting intentional boundaries in place. And just give us the sauce, man. This is only really constricted by 4K 60 crop, okay? At the price point, I should say. I wish they would have gave us like an option, you know, gave us maybe like a low quality full frame mode, but that's neither here nor there. This is one of the best cameras that you could buy for your money in 2023, the S5 Mark II or the S5 Mark II X. All right, last camera, and I do have one honorable mention that I'll bring up, and this is the DJI Osmo Pocket III. This camera has garnered so much attention this year because look how tiny it is. It's got a whole gimbal on top of it, so you always get smooth footage. It's got a 1-inch sensor, which is way better than the predecessor had. This little screen right here rotates, so this controls whether you want to film in vertical or landscape. It's super bright. It's a touch screen. Man, this thing can film up to 4K 120 frames per second. It can film in 10-bit D-Log. It's got built-in live streaming, built-in time-lapse, hyperlapse, motion time-lapse. It can act as a webcam that can follow you around because it's got Active Track 6.0. Matter of fact, let me just flip the gimbal around and I bet you it's gonna start looking for me. Does it see my face? It sees my face. I wasn't even all the way in the frame and now it's gonna track me back and forth. But also because it's Active Track 6.0, you can tap other stuff on the screen and track that. And honestly, the autofocus is just mad sticky because it's the first Osmo Pocket with a phase detect autofocus system. I could go on and on about the stuff that this little camera can do. This is a real popular camera, probably the most popular out of them all, and for good reason, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Now, I do have one runner-up that is not on the table, and I didn't include it because people aren't gonna get theirs until 2024, right? And that's the Sony Alpha 9 III. Now, let me step back and say this. The Alpha 9 III garnered a whole lot of hate, right? Because a lot of people don't understand that it's not a product made for everybody. There are already a bunch of fast cameras out there. The Canon R3 is mad fast. The Nikon Z8 is mad fast, and so on and so forth. But the Alpha 9 III was the first camera to bring a global shutter into a hybrid mirrorless camera, and it unlocked so many freaking possibilities. So it allows you to shoot up to 1/80,000th of a second maximum shutter speed. Oh, and you can flash sync up to that speed also. You can shoot 120 frames per second with full autofocus, auto exposure in RAW. It can shoot 4K 120 in video, 4K 60 in video, no crop. There's no rolling shutter problems because it's a global shutter. It eliminates all of your flicker problems because again, it's a global shutter. Plus, they threw in everything else that they could throw at it from all of their new cameras when it comes to the AI autofocus, the autofocus system, the flippy screen, and amazing EVF. Like they literally threw everything in the kitchen sink at the Sony Alpha 9 III, but it is $6,000. So although that's not in my top 5, I really appreciate what the Alpha 9 III does for the entire camera industry because it's going to force everybody to start figuring out a way to bring the cost down to global shutters and how to implement them more and more and more, which means as consumers, that's the best thing for us. So those are my 5+1 best cameras of 2023. Again, I know that our lists probably aren't the same, and again, none of these cameras are perfect, but I really think that all of the cameras I mentioned really did something for the camera space. They weren't just general camera releases. I have other cameras that get the job done or fine, like the Sony ZV-E1, but these things really revolutionized their respective segments in the camera space in some type of way, which is why they got Terry's top 5 of 2023. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments. I want to thank Insta1 for sponsoring today's video. I love their products, and when they heard I was about to make the video and they offered to sponsor it, I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and work it out. So it worked out. So anyways, that's it. Tight shirt, Terry Warford. I'm out. Piece of chicken grease. Much love, y'all. Peace.
I think I'm playing chess. I see a king, I'm at his neck. I'm 3 steps ahead of every move, now that's a check. Yes, they wanna know my secret, it's because I never slept. All my nightmares of me at 40, life's a wreck. See my dad, he in debt, and my mom, she upset. That's way back when 4